Hello everyone, welcome to Miss Hilton's guidance class. Today I'm going to read my book. It's called Bluey, written and illustrated by Pam Hilton. That's me. And there's Bluey. Isn't he cute? Once upon a time there was a little boy named Bluey. He was from a different planet, not Earth like us, and was made of blue paper. His father was changing jobs, so they had to move to Earth. Bluey was nervous about moving, but he was also excited because he could go to Earth school. Bluey had never been to school, but he had heard it was a magical place where kids could learn everything they needed to know, and some things they didn't. The very first day after arriving on Earth, Bluey's mother enrolled him in the nearest school. She said, "Tomorrow you'll get up early and ride the bus to school." Bluey was so excited he could hardly sleep. The next morning, Bluey woke up extra early, cleaned his glasses, and brushed his one piece of hair. He picked up his lunchbox and headed outside to wait for the bus. Bluey's smile grew as the bus pulled closer to his new home. When the bus door opened, the driver said, "Hello there, you must be our new student. Welcome aboard. Choose any seat you like." As Bluey walked down the narrow aisle, he smiled at everyone. But none of the Earth students would make room for him. In fact, a boy named Jack even said, "We don't like kids with blue skin." Bluey hadn't noticed that his skin was a different color. He felt confused. Suddenly, rip! Bluey's arm tore off. Jack's words had torn him up. That hurt Bluey. Luckily, there was one empty seat on the last row, so Bluey sat there and hoped things would get better soon. At school, Bluey found out that the first thing students do is eat breakfast. Bluey was excited to see what kind of food Earth students ate. He went through the line and chose an apple, cereal, and milk. He carried his tray to the nearest table where a girl named Chelsea looked at Bluey and laughed. Bluey said, "What's so funny?" Chelsea said, "You only have one piece of hair." Bluey had always liked having only one piece of hair until now. Bluey felt embarrassed. Suddenly, rip! Bluey's other arm tore off. Chelsea's words had torn him up. He was hurt again. When Bluey finished eating, he walked down the hall to find his classroom. A teacher named Miss Simone said, "Hello there, you must be our new student. Welcome to class. Please find your seat and begin working." Bluey noticed the spot at one of the tables with his name on it. He was so pleased to have a seat saved just for him. But when Bluey sat down to start his work, the boy next to him, Sam, said, "Ha, you have to wear glasses." This surprised Bluey because he thought his glasses were cool. Bluey wished he didn't have glasses anymore. Suddenly, rip! Bluey's leg ripped off. Sam's words had torn him up. Bluey was hurting even more than before. Luckily, Miss Simone soon announced, "It's time for recess. Everyone line up." Bluey had heard of recess before, but he had never been on an actual playground. He could not wait to explore the equipment. As they walked down the sidewalk, Bluey imagined what he would do first. The slide? Maybe the swings. "I know, the tower," he thought to himself. As soon as he passed through the fence gate, Bluey ran to the tower and climbed the steep ladder. He scrambled to the top. There he found Natalie, a girl from his new class. Natalie said, "You can't play with us. We always play on the tower, and we don't let kids with funny teeth play with us." Suddenly, rip! Natalie's words had torn off Bluey's last leg. Now Bluey was completely ripped to pieces. Bluey pictured his own smile. He always thought any smile was a good smile, until today. Bluey slinked down the ladder and slid away from the tower. After recess, Bluey began to watch the clock, hoping it would be time to go home. He was having a bad day at his new Earth school. Why were the Earth kids being so mean to him? He felt like a pile of trash, and he had begun to look like one too. Thankfully, it wasn't long until the final bell rang to load the bus. Bluey gathered himself up, found his seat on the back row, and waited quietly for the bus driver to reach his house. Inside, Bluey's mom was still unpacking boxes from their recent move to Earth. When she heard the front door open, she ran to greet her precious son Bluey at the door. But what she saw did not look like Bluey at all. It looked like a pile of scraps. "Bluey, what happened to you?" she said in a frightened voice. Bluey said, "Mama, I never want to go back to that Earth school. All the kids are so mean." Mama said, "Well, Bluey, now that we live on Earth, we have to do Earth things, and that includes going to school every day, even if people are mean to you." Bluey looked sad. Mama said, "As soon as you get to school tomorrow morning, go straight to the principal's office and tell her what happened. She can help." The next morning, Bluey wasn't nearly as excited to get on the bus or go to Earth school. In fact, he dreaded it. He definitely didn't want to go to the principal's office. But Bluey always followed his mama's directions. Timidly, he knocked on Mrs. Hilton's office door. "Come in," she said cheerfully. "Hello there, you must be our new student." "Goodness, Bluey, you don't look so good today. What happened?" Bluey almost burst into tears, but instead he said, "Some kids were really mean to me yesterday, and now I feel like a pile of trash." Mrs. Hilton said, "Don't worry, Bluey, we'll fix that. Just tell me who said what, and we will make it right." Bluey started out by telling her about Jack, who didn't like Bluey because of his blue skin color. Mrs. Hilton called Jack into the office and said, "Jack, skin color has nothing to do with whether a person will make a good friend or not. Are you sure you don't want to be Bluey's friend because of his skin?" Jack thought for a moment and said, "I'm sorry, Bluey. I guess I just haven't seen many blue people before, and I thought it might be something bad. I wish I would have taken time to get to know you. Will you forgive me?" Bluey said, "Sure, I would love to be your friend." Stick! Suddenly, one of Bluey's arms attached to his body like magic. Bluey instantly felt a little bit better. Mrs. Hilton said, "Okay, Bluey, who's next?" He told her about Chelsea, who laughed at Bluey's one piece of hair. Mrs. Hilton called Chelsea to her office and said, "Chelsea, don't you know that people have all kinds of hair, and that has nothing to do with whether they will be a good friend or not?" Chelsea said, "Actually, my grandpa's a good friend to me, and he's completely bald. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry, Bluey. Will you forgive me?" And Bluey said, "Sure. If you give me a chance, I think you'll see I'm very friendly." Stick! Suddenly, Bluey's other arm was attached. He was ready to face the next student who had teased him, Sam. Mrs. Hilton called Sam to the office and asked him what made him think that glasses were a bad thing. Sam said, "Well, only some people have to wear them, not me or any of my friends." Mrs. Hilton said, "I wear glasses. Is something wrong with me? And one day you might have to wear them too. It just means a person's eyesight is not very good." Sam said, "I guess that was a mean thing to say. Bluey, will you forgive me?" Bluey said, "Of course I will. If you get to know me, you will see that I'm a nice kid to be around, glasses or not." Stick! Suddenly, one of Bluey's legs was attached to his body. Bluey was feeling much better, but there was still some work left to do. The last person Bluey had to face was Natalie, the girl who wouldn't let him up on the tower. When Natalie arrived at Mrs. Hilton's office, she looked grumpy. Mrs. Hilton said, "Natalie, what you did yesterday was wrong. You wouldn't play with Bluey because of his teeth. Explain yourself." Natalie's grumpy face turned sheepish. She was ashamed of being so mean. She said, "I just didn't want him messing up our game. My friends always play on the tower, and we had no room for extras, especially when they look like him." Mrs. Hilton said, "It doesn't matter how someone looks. It's how they act that counts. You don't even know Bluey. You should have given him a chance." Natalie thought for a moment and said, "Bluey, I'm sorry we left you out. That was mean. I should have given you a chance to play with us. Will you forgive me?" And Bluey said, "Certainly. I love playing tower games, and I think we can figure out something fun to do. Thanks for apologizing. Stick! Suddenly, Bluey's last leg became attached to his body. Bluey was feeling 100% better now. Bluey had faced up to the Earth Kids who put him down. The Earth Kids had apologized and promised to get to know Bluey. Funny, the thing that made Bluey feel best was knowing that he had forgiven them for being so mean. Bluey had new hope for Earth School. He no longer looked like a pile of trash, but there were still marks where those kids had hurt him. He wouldn't be the exact same Bluey as before. Even though the Earth Kids apologized, their words had changed him. Bluey wondered if the Earth Kids would realize that the best thing they could have done would be to accept him without judgment and to have never said those mean words in the first place. Bluey thought to himself, I guess we all have a lot to learn about each other. The end. And that's the story of Bluey. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.